So if it's red, it's on. Okay. So if it's red, it's on. Okay. That's fine. I'll just stay out of the way for him.
Talked for a bit. Oh, she just gave us the thumbs up, so I guess we can start, right? Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone, and we are here for the North Brunswick Township Board of Education meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is our conference meeting here at North Brunswick Middle School. Today is Wednesday, January 15th. Could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ali. Here. Mr. Carter.
Here.
Miss James. Miss Keefe.
Here.
Mr. Lagori.
Here.
Dr. Patel.
Here.
Mr. Singh.
Right there.
Ms. Toth.
Here.
And Mr. Wen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, the public notice of this meeting, which included the time, date, and location, was distributed by 3 p.m. Tuesday, November 26, 2024, and Wednesday, November 27, 2024, in the following manner. Posted on the bulletin board reserved for announcements in the board office, 25 Linwood Place, North Brunswick, mailed to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, NJ.com, and the clerk of the Township of North Brunswick, and delivered to the 9 duly elected board members. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be out on the road at one of our schools, our brand new, or newer, I should say, our newest school in North Brunswick Township Middle School. It's great to have an audience, great to see some of our staff, administrators, students, and families. So thank you all for coming out. And at this time, I will turn it over to Mrs. Stroka before we begin.
Thank you, Ms. Toth. Again, as Ms. Toth said, this is our inaugural conference meeting. In the past, we used to do conference meetings pretty much most months during the calendar school year. And then when we added NBTMS into the rotation, we actually also added the ECC, and we didn't have enough months in which we had time to do all these conference meetings. So we actually made a shift and decided that the winter spring was a great time to just do the conference meetings at half the schools, and we would alternate years. So last year we did all 4 elementary schools from January through June, and this year we're doing the Early Childhood Center, NBTMS, Linwood, and the high school. So we'll get to see what's going on in each of those schools. And this way, we're getting there's some different things going on by the time we come every other year. We're excited to see what NBTMS has to share with us this year. And Mr. Slover, if you want to come on up. Do you want us to head down to our seats? That would be wonderful. Okay, so if we can move the tape down there.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to NBTMS. To anyone further rows back there, I'm Rick Slover, Principal of North Brunswick Township Middle School. I want to thank you all for being here tonight and for your continued support every day, every year, and so on. We couldn't do what we do without your support. We greatly appreciate it. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate you all being here tonight. Thanks to our student musicians who are going to perform for us in just a minute. Thanks to the parents who are joining us and to the staff who have come here to help out. What we're going to start out with tonight, a little bit of a treat for you all. Our national anthem will be performed by Ava De La Paz, a member of our NBTMS chorus. Ava. Would you please rise for the national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleamings, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Ava. Very nicely done. That was better than the version on Monday Night Football the other night. Absolutely. Great job. It is now my pleasure to introduce some members of the NBTMS band under the direction of Mr. Chris English, who are going to play a selection from their recent winter concert. Mr. English.
All right, guys, we're going to play a song called Alligator Alley that we prepared for a winter concert. It's also going to feature, in addition to us all playing together, some solos that are going to come up by the microphone and play for you. Ready, guys? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, Mr. English. I have a feeling that the parental portion of our audience is about to dwindle. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Anyway, some introductions before we move on. Some people you're going to see and hear from in just a few minutes as we move on. Of course, our supervisors, Dr. Rich for Special Services, Kate Dwyer for English Language Arts and Social Studies, and Drea Lamaga for Math and Science. Okay? Our deans, Mr. Noe Feliz, and our interim dean, Ms. Nicole Latore, who's filling in for Nada Marsh, who is out on maternity. And of course, I guess it's possible to have two right hands, Ms. Rufano and Mr. Feltry, and a very happy birthday to Ms. Rufano today, all right? As my late mother would have said, she's celebrating the anniversary of her 39th birthday. But now we have a little video from our TV production club for you all to enjoy for just a couple minutes. The things that are most important to me for everyone at the school, whether it's students or staff, that everyone feels safe and comfortable, and that we have a highly productive school where kids who are doing really well can continue to do so, and kids who might be struggling can improve, and kids in the middle maybe can aspire to bigger things, and that they hopefully enjoy themselves in the process.
My favorite memory is yesterday's basketball game. It was the first game that we went to that they won, the home team won. And when they did, everybody was screaming and it was fun.
Honestly, anything that involved with sports, or like football, wrestling, lacrosse.
I would have to say my favorite memory was finding out that I got hired to work here because I am a North Brunswick alumni. And even when I was a little kid at John Adams, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, and I always knew I wanted to teach right here in North Brunswick. So that is my favorite memory here.
The pep rally. It's my favorite memory because I got to play the fun games with my friends.
Well, we're fortunate that as a middle school we offer a lot. You know, we have over 20 clubs that kids can get involved in, 15 athletic teams, and events during the course of the year. Like, you know, well, towards the end of the year, of course, for 8th grade, we have semi-formal, and we take several trips during the year with our AVID program. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to enjoy themselves while they're at school here.
One of the questions we're going to ask you is, can you share a memorable experience from one of your clubs, teams, or activities?
Mine was like the first day of yoga club. Everybody was having fun. We were playing a lot of music, and everybody was getting ready to have fun in yoga club.
I like how you can research both parts of the argument that we happen to be researching inside said club, debate club.
I would say the first time that we went outside and did yoga, because it was calming.
I know it's not a long time ago, but with Nature Club, we've been going outside, and the other week we went out back to the lake over there, and it didn't seem too cold out. We were out looking for squirrel nests in trees, and we found 18 of them, but there was also ice on the lake, and the kids were picking it up, and we were throwing it on the lake, and it was so cool to hear the different sounds that you could make by throwing different things. So it was fun, it was a little chaotic, and it was sort of a science lesson, in a way.
The best part of my job, other than getting to know the kids, is when I run into them years from now, whether it's in ShopRite or at Nino's or at a ball game, or sometimes even down the shore, I might run into a former student and they tell me what they're doing with their life. I'm in touch with many former students, and whether they tell me that they just got into Rutgers or they got into Penn State, or that they graduated, and the different careers that they get into, that's the best part of what I do. All right, so some outstanding work by our video club, under the advisorship of Mr. Frank Marone, who was also an alumnus. Okay, some updates and highlights. Okay, since we last met, you may have heard of Yonder Pouches, okay? Especially after the other day, right? Well, as you know, we are piloting that program here, and it's gone very, very well. We have rave reviews from the entire staff, okay? We do not see phones in classrooms, okay? And only once in a while do we see them in the hallway. And the truth is, it makes it very easy to catch somebody that way because they're sticking out like a sore thumb, all right? So the system is working. It's not perfect, and you know, if you put Yonder Pouch in Google, the first thing you're going to see is 10 articles on how to get around them, okay? So it's not perfect, but it is a mechanism and it is working, all right? And like anything else, I'm sure it's going to evolve over time and we'll evolve with it. But so far, so good. It's been a great move, and like I said, the staff are reporting great things. So thank you very much for the support in that. Something new this day, not our Win Day program, which are our early Thursdays, but Wednesday is another proposal that we created that Mrs. Chiroka approved, where once a month we take a Wednesday and we extend our homeroom and we use it as like an extra support period, okay, for kids to get caught up in different areas, or they can visit different teachers for extra help, things along those lines, okay? Now, there's still a couple missing pieces to that we're waiting to fill out, so we haven't started that yet. That's going to be a second half of the year thing, but one we did start right off the bat was our Flex PLC program, which was new this year. As you know, our teachers are all in PLCs, professional learning communities. They meet every day, okay? We gave them the option to flex out one day a week where they could meet with different teachers for different purposes. So instead of 8th grade social studies meeting with just 8th grade social studies teachers every day, maybe they want to meet with a science teacher to talk about a kid. Or maybe they want to meet with a language arts teacher to discuss grading a writing assignment or something along those lines, all right? Or if they if they want to have a meeting with a parent, let's say, and they want to do it together, all right? So it's time that they can use that way. That is going very well so far too, and it's been much appreciated by the staff. We added a drama elective, which we'll talk about in a second. We added Saturday detention, which was actually in year 2, but we did not meet with you last year. So that is, we haven't used it a ton, honestly, but it's been nice when we've needed it. It's given us another option rather than removing kids from class, okay? And our PBIS program has undergone a major revision, which Ms. Rufano will talk about in a little bit. Okay. And then the oldies but goodies, our academic program that we're very proud of course. As you know, you just heard, we have a thriving music program, many clubs and athletics. One thing we're very proud of is the high-end and high-interest electives we offer here. Things like STEM ACES, which is essentially our choral fish tank program, data science, intro to theater, TV production, mechatronics, advanced studio art. You will not find these in many middle schools, okay? But we do them for 2 reasons. Number one, for certain kids, it pushes them, okay? Data science is not easy, right? And for other kids, it might be an interest that keeps them coming to school, all right? And that's something we need today. Our AVID program, as you know, and the numerous support programs we offer. Happy to announce our Educator and Support Person of the Year, Mrs. Megan Carroll and Mrs. Florine White. Both are outstanding at what they do and such a vital part of our team here. We're happy to have them. You'll hear more about them in the coming months, I'm sure. Attendance and conduct. We entered last year with a 21% chronic absenteeism rate. Our goal was to get it down to 16. We got it down to 13, okay? We are at 14 right now and holding steady, and speaking of Mr. Felchi today, it looks like we're in actually a very good position to drop that down further, okay? Can't guarantee it, but it looks like that could happen. Compared to a year ago on this date, we have a 35% reduction in school consequences issued. Not that we're not issuing consequences. Kids aren't getting written up as much, okay? We have a 23% reduction in ISS and a 75% reduction in OSS, all right? So we're keeping kids in school too. Why? It's probably a combination of all these things. Our counseling, our mentoring programs, our restorative practices, but I can't deny our turnover rate. We're a 2-year building. Every September, 50% of our building is new, right? So we do swap classes out pretty quickly. A couple pictures of our honor roll and high honor roll assemblies that we have after every marking period. One thing we did for this year's presentation, just so you know, is some of our day in the life things we've kind of mixed in to break it up a little bit and kind of keep it moving. But we do hold those so we get to honor our highest achieving students. I forgot to mention too at the beginning, in addition to the music program, There are several pieces of student artwork posted outside the doors. If you didn't see them on your way in, please take a look on your way out. Okay. Academics, we have almost 300 students on our honor roll or high honor roll. We have 762 students, so we're at 39%. That is almost our pre-pandemic level. We tended to hover around 42% before the pandemic. Not going to lie, we all know NJSLA scores continue to be an issue. Right? And 2022 was our first year testing post-pandemic. We are tested in 6 areas: math in both grades, language arts in both grades, algebra, and geometry. In 4 out of the 6, we went down that year. Okay? Last year, we gained ground in 3 out of 6, or I'm sorry, 2 years ago, and then last year, we gained ground in all 6. In some, a nice gain. In some, we gained by a hair, but we gained and we stopped the bleeding. All right, which is one of the most important things, okay? Now, I did quite a bit of work over the last 2 summers tearing apart the data to see, to look for some different things. I didn't want to look for blame, all right? I just wanted to make sure we all had the full story, okay? Because it's very easy to just look at a score and blame a kid or a teacher, okay? There's a lot more to this than that, as you all know, okay? So over the last 2 summers, as the data has come out, I've really torn it apart and reassembled it again and again and again, all right? Now, if we go back to when Mrs. Keita and I were teaching together, we gave GEPA every year, okay? Trenton didn't like that, so they had to make NJ Ask, okay? And after a few years of that, they had enough of that fun, so it was on to Park, all right? And then that wasn't good anymore either, so now we're on NJSLA. Who knows what it'll be next year? Now, my question was, when did we lose ground and why, okay? And what factors were at play? So as I said, 4 out of 6 tested areas saw their greatest drops due to the pandemic in those years, okay? 1 of the 6 was during the Park era. So in between Park years, we just had a drop in 1 test at one point, okay? And then 1 was a significant shift when we shifted from Park to NJSLA, which tells me harder test, okay? Now, if we break these tests down, we can look at all of this. So for ELA 7, the pandemic gave us a 23-point drop in 1 shot, all right? In the 3 years since, we have gained back 9 points, all right? That kind of tells you how hard it is to gain the points back, okay? Especially the students we have now were in 2nd and 3rd grade when the pandemic hit, okay? But we've had 3 straight years of growth. We just had our highest score since the pandemic, and our current 7th grade is coming in with scores almost identical to last year's 7th grade, so that's good news, okay? In Math 7th, the Park era, that's the one that in the middle of Park, we just dropped 13 points 1 year, okay? But we've had 3 straight years of growth, and we just had our best score in the SLA era. Not great, but our best one. ELA 8, the pandemic, we lost 11 points. Went down again in 23, but grew last year. And in Math 8, this is our most persistent issue. Math 8 has always been an issue, and there's a couple reasons for that. The test switch from Park to NJSLA, we had a 6-point drop. That was our biggest drop, okay? It dropped again in 23, but we did rebound a little bit last year. Part of the issue here is that if you compare math to ELA, all ELA students take the same test. Math students are separated out. There's a math test and an algebra test and a geometry test. If we put algebra and geometry kids into the math test, our scores would skyrocket, okay? Not our decision. Algebra. Now, mind you, these are our highest functioning students, algebra and geometry. Pandemic, they lost 24 points, our largest loss. They've only gained back half, right? But we have 2 straight years of growth. Geometry, we lost 14, we've gained back 4, right? If it's that difficult for them, think about the other kids, right? That's what I wanted to get at. But one thing we are still happy with and is paying some dividends is the innovative schedule we came up with a few years ago, okay, where we have 4 classes at 53 minutes each for core classes and then 3 life skills every day at 40 minutes. What this allows for is students who need intervention in both math and ELA can have both starting in September all the way through June. Prior to that, we would pull kids out of our R&R, which was like our extended homeroom, starting in January and only until April and only for 1 subject. But we have kids who need help in both, right? Now they can get that help. But we also can now offer that plus another level of intervention, which is our pull-out program, which is going very well as well. This also gives room for mandated courses without hampering other curricula. A great example of that is 3 years ago when the state told us we had to teach civics, but they didn't take anything away. So where do you put it? Okay? A lot of schools crammed it into social studies, for example. If we were to do that, that would impact the social studies curriculum at the high school and Linwood, because it would change the domino effect, all right? We were able, with our schedule, to build it in, okay? It allows, this is very important to me, this allows students to pursue more than one music class. In the era of SEL, social emotional learning, hundreds of kids find their home in those rooms, right? And if they want to have chorus on one day and band on the other, that's great. I'm all for it. Allows for support in classes, or support classes such as AVID or our fundamental physics program, which supports our physics classes. Provides room for the high interest courses that we talked about, data science, TV production, and 9 out of our 12 test scores, I mean, again, 6 tests, 2 years, 9 out of 12 have gone up since we've implemented this, right? So the early data is positive. Ms. Noodleman is not here tonight. You heard the band, right? But I will go through her highlights. So we just had our winter concerts, okay? They also performed down at Linwood as kind of a recruiting mission. On the 20th, last day of school before the break, I know many of you either experienced or have heard of Christmas in the Commons, right? We kind of do something similar. It's a little tamer, but far tamer. But the jazz band comes in and plays Christmas songs during the lunch periods. It's always a good time, all right? And actually, our chamber orchestra plays traditional Christmas music in the library during the day. Very, very nice day. We have 3 students, Connor Chan, Ava, who you just heard, and Natanya, who were just recently selected to the Region 2 Intermediate Chorus after an arduous audition process. And there you see some upcoming events. And that's music. A couple shots from our winter concert last month, just about a month ago. All right? That's about it for me at the moment. Now we're going to talk math. Actually, I'm not going to talk math. You don't want me talking math. All right? Even though my budget was fine. All right? Okay. Mrs. Lamagra, everybody.
Thank you. Good evening. Just bear with me so I don't drop it on the floor. Are you able to hear me clearly if I speak right here? Thank you so much. Good evening. I wanted to focus on a couple of different areas for both mathematics and the sciences tonight. So I have a few slides, and the first portion for myself for mathematics is going to be a look at the academics. What are the students doing in the classroom? And one of the biggest things that we are doing this year in the middle school is focusing on vertical math. And what I can best describe to you about the vertical math is that the students are actually getting up out of their seats much more in the classroom. And they're rotating around the room. It's very collaborative. It's a chance for the students to see multidimensional approaches because it allows them to work collaboratively and see how other groups are working on solving the problems. So they're rotating around the rooms, each leaving their mark on the wall, on the papers, on the whiteboards, on the white notebooks, so they can actually have a chance to be very reflective, have more discussions, and continue what they're doing from the beginnings of the introduction of the content and bring it all together as a class. So it's a big, bold look at a large group of how the math's being done in the room, rather than finding themselves sitting independently and working sometimes in isolation at their seats without having the opportunity to just look at everything from a lot of different perspectives. The second topic is that the students are just continuing on. We have got lots of math competitions taking place. We have the AMC 10. The AMC 8 is going to be next week here at the middle school. And we also have the New Jersey Math League taking place. Professionally, the vertical math was actually a result of the Building Thinking Classrooms group study that the 7th and 8th grade math teachers are doing here at the middle school. We also have student engagement as part of the professional learning, and our new math coach this year, Ms. Kim Morey, who moved up from 5th grade, is going to be doing a lot of the professional learning with student engagement in the classroom for the teachers both here at the middle school and also at the 5-6 building. One thing I'm very excited to mention to you is that we have begun the process of vetting and selecting new curricular materials. We've developed a task force for grades 5 through Algebra 1, since we do have that course set shared here at the high school. And we have a team of about 8 staff members across both this building and the Linwood School, and another 4 additional teachers at the high school for Algebra 1. And we have been able to look at 3 very good curriculums and have gone through with a very deep dive into what is that curriculum going to provide our students. And that really is the main focus. Was it right for the needs that our students have? And I'm happy to announce that the team unanimously selected Amplified Desmos Math, and so we are moving into a pilot phase this coming winter. We're looking to begin right after the President's Day weekend with all of the different grade levels, piloting for about 20 class days before we have kind of a final review and hopefully proceed forward in putting that curriculum up for recommendation. The Math and Science Data Team, through New Jersey Tiered Systems of Supports, had met earlier this fall, and one of the things that we did was we broke down and disaggregated a lot of the data from the NJSLA last year, and one of the primary focuses that we looked at specifically at this grade level was when the students are working on the problems where they have to identify multiples and factors. There's a little bit of a struggle. There's a fluency gap. And so as a Tier 1 intervention that we are delivering to every student in the classrooms here, we're really focusing on that to make sure we're bridging the gap on a piece of the content that seems to be a generalized gap for the majority of the students. And we're also increasing the amount of vertical articulation that we have in grades 5 all the way up through high school level math to make sure that the planning that takes place, especially in the middle grades, we find ourselves that we not only receive, but we have to prepare to send and move up. So we want to make sure that there's a continuum of information being shared across all of the grade bands to make sure that the decisions that we're making here are also best suited for where we're going to prepare to send the students to. The AMPed program that we have in the middle school, I'm happy to say that beginning with one section with an 8th grade group a few years ago, we are now up to 2 full sections in both 7th grade and 8th grade. So we not only have a curriculum that pairs algebra with all of the other functions of entrepreneurship and processing, manufacturing, and design. We also have a concepts of algebra program for the 7th grade students that does the same. And this year we were happy to procure and be able to dedicate 4 new PCs to those 2 programs in 7th and 8th grade so that the students have a quicker access to be able to use the software needed to do the manufacturing process. And this year we already have students selling all of the notepads that are personalized that they are able to design and build, and also the 8th grade students this year are building the customized pouches, and so the students are using the Cricut software, and we're very excited, and a lot of that does tie into the PBSIS that we're able to give back to the students in the building. And my last slide for science. The primary focus for academics this year was something that was a collaborative approach between myself and the staff members. When we started getting together and doing some of the professional learning over the summer, we really took stock inventory of what we wanted for our goals. And a big push was the executive functioning skills. There's a lot of layers in science classes with the internalization of content, but even more so with the application of it. So, and in doing that, it brings with notebooking, hands-on lab activities, having a binder that really teaches the students organizational skills. So I love the fact that it was very collaborative and that the staff had a very important role in coming up with some of these things that they wanted to focus on to make sure that they were being turnkey to the students. Without those executive functioning skills and having them set a good foundation, sometimes the content gets a little bit scattered. So I love the fact that these were some of the non-negotiables that we really wanted to focus on. And the third component, being able to actually build a vocabulary, a scientific vocabulary through literacy. Literacy is so important, especially in the sciences, and even when you're in math and you're communicating your information. So I would be doing a disservice if we didn't incorporate more literacy into the science classrooms as well. So we're incorporating a lot of informational text where students are able to read and then have conversations using vocabulary that's built into the content that we're actually going through at that time. Professionally, we started the year with doing a big inventory on safety in the classroom. The teachers participated in a PIASH, or a hazards communications study, to make sure that we are aware of what the hazards are and the important safety measures that need to take place in the classroom. We also are making sure that when the students are in the room with us and doing any type of hands-on work, if it's something that the students are coming in contact with, we have them completing a Google form to confirm that they have gone over the information that day with the instructor at the front of the room. So we know that safety is the priority every time we're in the science classroom. We have a new OpSci-Ed unit, Earth and Space, in 8th grade this year. We're continuing with vertical articulation in grades 5 through 8, giving them an opportunity to get together and make sure that we are all aligned with all of the standards. We are also making sure that every staff member is participating in Universal Design for Learning with Betsy Beck, who is also a coach in the district. And the complementary component for the math and science data team is that in the sciences, we're supporting the work of the math by continuing with looking at data and making sure that we're improving the math fact fluency by the students working on statistics, bringing in data, doing graphical analysis, and putting that to good use to support some of the gaps that we're seeing as a result of the math assessment. And I didn't mention it on the first two slides, but the STEM Parent Academy will be later this June, on June 4th, and the time is still being worked out to make sure we are in coordination with the fire department for the egg drought. So thank you very much for having me here this evening, and that's it for myself. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Rich, the supervisor of special education here at the middle school in Linwood. And here is our talent show cast. Looks like they're doing a really good job. So I'm here to talk about our special education programming at the middle school. On this slide, I talk about a little bit about our specialized programs. We engage in community-based instruction, and the reason we do that is our students are working on both academic and functional goals in their IEPs, and we give them experiences in the community to build on these skills. And it's a really great program, and our staff does an amazing job in helping our students in this area. We also focus a lot on social skills in our self-contained programming. Again, working to make the students, to help them grow in both their academics and their functional. In our programming, we work on multisensory reading instruction. We've grown our multisensory reading instruction here at the middle school and have expanded training for teachers and have integrated it into more classrooms with more supplementary supports. And this has been through professional learning opportunities. Another goal through special education and in collaboration with the building is to create an inclusive environment. So I'm really proud to discuss our social and emotional learning initiative and our Thrive initiative. Each year, we conduct a mental health wellness screener for our students, and we work closely with our counseling staff to analyze the results of the screener and provide a multi-tiered level of supports for our students. We're lucky at the middle school because we have a lot of different supports for Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. We're going to be later talking about our PBSIS initiative, which also coincides with our mental health initiative. We've worked together with a team of teachers to create wellness resources and lessons that have been pushed out to staff. We have a wellness classroom, and all the lessons are organized according to the CASEL competencies. So staff always have access and are able to integrate these lessons and these resources into their classroom. We also have an area for staff wellness resources as well. In special education, we continue to offer flexible program opportunities and a full continuum of supports, which is really awesome to see as students get older and their needs and they grow and they progress and they need different kinds of programming. So our case managers do an excellent job in planning for them. We work closely with our special education coach who works with our teachers on differentiation and helping with our co-teaching pairs and developing their co-teaching relationship and really bringing in our building goal of universal design for learning. Some professional learning goals for our special education department include IEP development, which is ongoing. We are always training our staff on IEP development. And, you know, I always say there's always something to improve on. There's always something to do better in an individualized program. So we're always working on that. Our specialized reading has grown at the middle school as well. And we've been working to promote executive functioning resources. This is an area where we find students really need a lot of support. So we've been gathering resources and sharing with staff to help students. So this is a snapshot of some of the awesome initiatives that we're working on through special education. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Kate Dwyer. I'm the supervisor. Can you hear me? The supervisor of language arts and social studies both here and at Linwood School. So this is just a few pictures from our theme days here. The middle school works to foster a sense of community. One of the ways is by allowing these theme days. I think the bottom right, you can see the teachers really appreciated the opportunity to dress like students for the day. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the work we're doing in ELA and social studies here at the middle school. So as you know, as a result of the NJSLA data, one area that we've focused on for improvement is our writing work. Writing probably took the biggest hit during the pandemic because it was very difficult to expect students to write during virtual instruction. The writing was often limited to chat boxes, short submissions. We typically expect students to write across their school day, and it just became much more difficult to navigate. So data suggests, you know, certainly not exclusive to North Brunswick, writing was the thing that posed the most challenge after the pandemic. So what we did was last year, our 8th grade PLC did a book study on this text called The Writing Revolution, which basically suggests that explicit writing instruction is fundamental to writing growth. So teaching students like the building blocks of writing so that their sentences make more sense, that transfers to better organization of longer writing pieces, and then the expectation is that writing is not taking place just in the ELA classroom, but throughout the school day. So I've been able to do a lot of work across ELA and social studies with that, and then the hope is that that expands throughout our building, so that there's a universal language for our students. So all the subject areas are expecting students to write, but sometimes what we find is the terminology is a little bit different depending on the course that the child is in. So unifying that terminology for our students takes away that layer of what is the expectation in this room, this course versus that course. So we've done a lot of work this year around outlining, gathering evidence, and organizing our thoughts so that we have more coherent writing pieces. We saw a lot of growth with our 8th grade students that did this work last year from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. We're tracking with common assessments in Linkit, professional development in both ELA and social studies. We have an implementation team that's rolling out this initiative. So we're very optimistic that we'll see growth with our writers, you know, through NJSLA data, but also just their day-to-day writing. What we expect in all of our classes is not that students are just memorizing facts, but they're able to show that they are truly understanding the content. And the best way to do that is through writing and through speech. So we want to make sure that they're clear communicators. As Mr. Slover said, we're very fortunate here that we have professional learning community meetings every day where our teachers are able to gather to discuss best practices, to discuss trends, to discuss changes that are needed to our Tier 1 instruction, to review data, both NJSLA, map data, and then formative and summative data within the classrooms. So we're doing a lot of that work to decide on-the-spot decisions of modifications that might be helpful, like in this moment. We don't want to wait till next year when we get data, at the end of the school year from NJSLA, but what can we do with all of the assessments that we're administering to modify as necessary to give our students the best instruction day to day. We're continuing to use the program MEMBEAM, which is an adaptive program that helps our students with morphology, understanding word parts, understanding how context clues work, because one of the things that research says is most prohibitive of student understanding and student comprehension of text is limited vocabulary. So instead of just teaching words to students, we're teaching students how to own language and be able to dissect based on their knowledge of word parts. So students take an assessment at the beginning of 5th grade, and then the program adapts to where they're at academically and gives words that are appropriate to their reading level. It's very cyclical, so the words are revisited throughout the program so that retention is high. In these professional learning communities, we're also doing a lot to ensure that our upper echelon students are being appropriately challenged as well. Sometimes we look at the data and we see student deficit, but we also want to see areas where we can improve and challenge our students who are ready for that opportunity. So we study work samples of students, we look at vertically at the standards. So if you have a student in 7th grade who's doing really excellent work, what can we use from 8th grade standards, even maybe 9th grade standards, to appropriately challenge those students as well. We're fortunate over the last couple of years, we've implemented data teams here in North Brunswick, where we study classroom data and then we study benchmark data or state testing data to identify an area that we can improve upon for our Tier 1 instruction, because Tier 1 instruction is going to yield the biggest impact because it's affecting all of our students. So here at the middle school, our first cycle, we're devoting to improvement of writing by highlighting like their expertise in a given subject. So sometimes what we do is we assign students writing and they're unclear on how to articulate all the things that they know. So we're offering scaffolds to students to get their writing started so that they're able to communicate these ideas clearly and then grow that knowledge by additional reading. As Mr. Slover said, we're also able to offer intervention services. We've made some changes to our intervention format here at the middle school, which has allowed us to add additional pull-out services in ELA, which is particularly helpful because then the teacher is able to meet with students in very small groups and the instruction is targeted to exactly what that child's need is. So it's not just you're struggling with reading, but you're struggling, bless you, with foundational knowledge, you're struggling with fluency, you're struggling with vocabulary development, so the instruction can be very catered to what that child's individual needs are. So we're making a lot of data-driven decisions of things that we can improve upon to reflect our students' learning and the data as well. We also want our students to feel relevance in what they're doing and an excitement for their learning. So when possible, we try to bring guest speakers into classrooms. We try to bring programming in so that students have these experiences. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of those for you. There's a lot of standards now that are addressing climate change. So we have our 7th grade language arts students. They're actually having this presentation tomorrow, again this year. So a coral reef to classroom presentation so they can see some of the impacts of climate change because they have a writing unit that's devoted to that. In 7th grade. Our 8th grade students do research around Career Day, which basically gives them the opportunity to explore potential future careers. It's a very motivating unit because they can see what their future holds. And what we try to do is expose the students to lesser known jobs. You know, they know teachers, they know lawyers, so we try to bring in people that have jobs that are maybe less frequently heard. And then the speakers come in and they present just a little piece of what their day looks like. We also try to present this to students in a realistic way. So if you can see that map, it's a little small, but you know, we try to talk to the students. Do you want a virtual job? Do you want a job where you're in person? Do you want a job where you can harness your communication skills because you're a people person? You know, how much money do you want to make? Are you going to make enough money to have that mansion that you're dreaming of, doing the career that you initially thought? So we're trying to give them these skills where they're understanding the implication of the choices that they make. And a number of you came and spoke last year to our students, so we were very grateful for that, and we have a lot of members of our community that come in and speak as well, former students, members of the North Brunswick community, which is really nice. We took our 8th graders to see, a play for Midsummer Night's Dream so that they, some of our students don't have the opportunity to go to events like that outside of the school, so we're giving them those cultural experiences. And then we also have our Literacy Night event every year where we try to equip parents with things that they can do to support their students' literacy development at home, games and activities to spark the engagement of literacy. One that's not up there is that we have our annual spelling bee. So we actually have a very busy day tomorrow. We have our choral reef presentation, and then our spelling bee is tomorrow night. So we're excited to share with you who the winner is, and hopefully they can represent us at the county level again this year. And then in social studies and in civics, much like Mrs. Lamagra said, literacy is, critical for our students' success in their lives. So we have moved very far away from memorization of content in social studies and focusing on main ideas, citing evidence, taking a position, making claims about the things that you've learned, and trying to foster a connection between what happened in history and why are we still studying it today? How is it relevant to your life now? So what you'll see if you're in our social studies classes is an increased level of collaboration and discussion, because we want the students to have those conversations around what does this mean to me? What does this mean to my community? We've done amazing things with the Yonder pouches, but students still go right to their phones after school and they get all of their news from social media. So what we try to teach them in both social studies and ELA is to become critical consumers of information, where they're looking at everything they're reading and watching with a critical eye. Unfortunately, there's always kind of an author slant to everything that's published. So we're trying to teach our students these media literacy skills where they're making intelligent choices as they're reading and consuming information. As I mentioned before, the Social Studies Department is also partnering with ELA to improve writing through this writing revolution, and I'm hopeful that that's something we can do as a building next year. And we're looking for our students to become involved in their communities. If you're unhappy with something, don't just complain about it, but how can you become actively involved and advocating for change that will help both you and others? So much like ELA, we try to involve the community. Last year, we had an amazing Are You Ready Rutgers Civics Fair. So this organization from Rutgers came to show all of our students that take civics how they can become informed participants of their community. And then in 7th grade in ELA, the students all read the Diary of Anne Frank. Some of our students read the actual diary and others read the play adaptation. And it's become a cross-curricular unit because our social studies teachers pre-teach a lot of the background knowledge so that students go in with an understanding of what was going on at that time. So last year we actually had a presentation from a few grandchildren of Holocaust survivors. It was very powerful. The students felt, connected to this very important, troubling experience that's happened in history. So we try to bring the experiences of the classroom alive to our students through these experiences. So thank you so much, as always, for your support.
Good evening. My name is Amy Rafano, Assistant Principal, 7th grade class. A few pictures from our pep rallies. We have 3 pep rallies a year coinciding with our athletic season so that we can showcase our athletes as well as have all of our students engage in some healthy competitions, some fun games, music, the band plays, and then we always have a PBIS message, something about positive behavior in the school, which is a great way to get the kids to start thinking about what's expected of them and how they can help change and shift the culture of how we treat one another in the building, and that's really what it's all about. We strive to get our students to think about how they would feel if something like that was happening to them, and have them take a pause and think really truly how we treat each other. Some of the things that we're doing here with clubs and activities, we have over 23 clubs and for students to explore. You can go ahead and turn to the next slide, please, or am I doing that myself? I'm doing that myself. All right, there we go. We have 23 clubs for students to explore and experience anywhere from art, music, robotics, various community service activities that take place within each club, but also on their own, standing freely with county and local organizations, healthy competitions, math, we do robotics competitions, debate, a very popular club. Nature, we actually had a guest speaker for the Nature Club today. They were talking about bear safety. So whenever there's a bear around, our kids will be ready to address that potential attack. We offer a lot more. You saw some pictures in there about yoga. That's a club we're piloting right now, and it really is a very cool club. The kids get in there and they really get a chance to just kind of just relax and de-stress, as they say. So we're piloting that club. This year we did add anime, very popular, chess club, and nature, like I said. Roughly on any given Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, we'll have 85 to 120 kids participating in a club. So we appreciate those late buses, because without those late buses, Mrs. Hawk, those children would not be able to participate. Other various activities are taking place. Like I mentioned, the pep rally, we're having our attendance assemblies at the end of the second marking period, and then we do our high honor roll and honor roll assemblies, and kids really love that. They love to be recognized for working hard. Our National Junior Honor Society is going to, begin their after-school tutoring and their lunch tutoring program, and it's peers helping peers, I think, which make a lot of sense here in this building, and they get to see each other throughout the building's small enough so that when you're engaging with kids, whether it's in a sporting activity or in clubs or in tutoring or things like that, you get to see them over and over again, and it builds a nice feeling of welcomeness and just belonging, no matter what level you're at in terms of competition or academics. A couple other things I wanted to talk about is our mentoring program. We have 15 mentors. Those are our adults in the building, our staff members, and about 20 mentees right now. Their relationships can last throughout the whole year, can last a couple of weeks. They can meet for 5-6 minutes. They can do a check-in. They can communicate just with a thumbs up or like, or yeah, I need to see you now kind of a thing. But it usually is done in a very casual situation. It's not a set appointment, although it could be if need be. But it really is a nice casual relationship where they can kind of talk about how do I talk to my teacher about this? How do I tell my mom that I'm not doing so well in this class, or offering suggestions and advice, anything. And they all know, the mentees know, that if it's anything more serious than that we are obligated to get other people involved. And they agree to that, which is nice. We've developed a really new but nice relationship with NJ for Schools. They're actually going to be running one of our parent academies in January, Connections Matter. They are in a position to come into the school and actually do some small group work with us with their expertise. We go through the protocol where we reach out to parents and make sure it's okay that their student participates in this outside vendor relationship. Some of the other events that that students and staff are involved in, obviously, our Week of Respect, Anti-Violence Awareness Week, door decorating contest. We do a number of food drives locally and through the county. Our Pappas 5K run in memory of one of our dear teachers from Linwood, Miss Pappas. And we do some work with our North Brunswick Township Youth Alliance. A number of our students in this building are active members. So we work closely with Luann Benson on some of those activities. You've heard PBIS. PBIS is a platform, a computer program, for lack of a better word, that we load and merge with our Genesis system. Genesis feeds the information into PBIS, where students can see real time and the immediate acknowledgement for their positive behaviors in school. So the goal, at least one of the goals that I see, is that we're modeling positive behavior. We're modeling that kindness in the building, whether it's helping someone through the hallway, directing them, a pencil, just being kind, treating others the way we want to be treated, and then to be able to see that you're rewarded for that behavior, and that motivates you to continue that behavior, and that may motivate you as a young adult to stop somebody from not doing the right thing, and to hopefully shift that culture and shift the behavior of the students. They're constantly reminded. We have posters throughout the building that we've hung about positive behavior in the KRC, in the auditorium, in the lunchroom, in the classroom, in the hallways, in the stairways, during drills. We have a matrix that each student is exposed to and staff refers to of how they can earn points, and those points turn into reclaiming them for turning them in for rewards. We have a student that's out on our marquee out front. She wanted to use her points because she wanted to see her name in lights, so we did that for her. We offer a fast pass for lunch, so you're not the last person to get lunch, you're the first person to get lunch. So we do some tangible items, those plugs for your Crocs. We do erasers, we do pens, we do food, through the cafeteria. So there's a lot to offer. We do, a free pass to an event that we might be running. We're running another PBIS event in February. Our first event happened December 20th, on that half day before. We offered turn in your points to get a ticket to the movies, to play games in a game room, or to play volleyball. And we had 35% participation in that. So for being up and live and running for less than a month, we've done some really good things with it. And the goal here again is to have us as a community, change and treat each other the way we want to be treated, and to model that behavior throughout the school day and to carry it on. And I think that's pretty much it for me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Felice, who's going to talk a little bit about some other things that are going on and in 7th grade. But here's a picture from our Purple for Pappas, the community participating in the Pappas 5K. Okay, Mr. Felice, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Noe Felice. I am the 7th grade dean, also HIP specialist and school test coordinator. And I'm going to highlight and talk a little bit about some of the events of our 7th grade and some of our special initiatives. So actually this year we were able to attend what's called the Day of Dialogue, which this year occurred at our Educational Services Commission building over in Piscataway. And I was able to interview, I want to say about 25, maybe 30 students, and we selected 16 students. And it's a program that focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion. What I liked about it, it resembled some of the professional developments that we go to, and it was a very professional environment for the students. And you would have been very proud of them. They shared confidently. They talked about some difficult issues in small groups, and they were also bold enough to speak in the open forum on the microphone in front of everyone. So it was a very, very program that I think left an impact on the students. And I gave them some certificates, and I called them to the office, and they were very proud to receive their certificates. And but my mom's going to let me hang this up on the refrigerator. So it was a very, very good program. Another program that I'd like to highlight is the Power program, and this is my 3rd year working with them. And it's an initiative where we have the police officers will come into the building, and we have about 40 students that meet once a month on a Wednesday right after school. And the program really emphasizes just making good choices, making good decisions, and creating scenarios where the students can talk about, they can role play and talk about, what if I find myself in this situation, how will I handle it? And we have some really good success stories of a student that really gave us a run for our money for 2 years. And now she's at the high school, and she's been a regular at this program. And now we're hearing things like she's resolving peer conflicts and encouraging other students to make good choices. So this program is really having a good effect on our student population, headed by Tangi Cobb, which is one of our community, someone that's very involved in the community, and she secured a grant for this particular program. along with Officer Ailey, which is very instrumental in bringing in some guest speakers for this particular program. And I also want to highlight something a little bit different that we did this year was with our orientation for Spanish for families in August that we do every other year for the 7th graders, or every year for the 7th graders. Jen Eschettino was nice enough to put me on Parent Square for Linwood School, so I was able to reach out to a number of those parents, and I was able to find on Genesis that about 114 students identify as having Spanish as a home language. That's out of 371. And just regular contact, sending regular messages. We were able to fill up one of the classrooms with Spanish-speaking families, Spanish-speaking parents, and we were really able to just highlight and talk about everything school-related in completely in Spanish. And now I have my phone goes off regularly, and I get quite a few messages in Spanish asking for assistance from the buses to my son's having a problem with someone in class, so I get quite a few messages every day. But I think it's a great way to connect with the community that's usually timid and scared to approach us and let us know that they have issues. And the last two areas that I'm going to highlight are our social event, which is a great opportunity for our students to just kind of unwind and dance, and we'll have a DJ with lights. And it kind of goes away from the traditional, remember the school dance where the group of students would stand on one side and another group of students would stand on the other side. This gives them an opportunity. We also open up the gym, so they have an opportunity to participate in sports, volleyball, and then you see them, it's opportunity for them to dress up. Some of them, their ties are too short or their stockings are too big, and it's the opportunity for them to start developing how to dress professionally. So I think it's a great outlet for them. And the last event I want to talk about is our 7th grade field day, the outdoor events. It's become a tradition, and the students always look forward to being able to be outside and run around and throw things and just have a good time. Okay.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Nicole Latore. I am the interim 8th grade dean. Mr. Feliz, thank you for taking the mic off of the stand because I thought it was going to be too high for me. So thank you. So I'm going to talk tonight about two programs that our 8th graders take part in. The first one is the North Brunswick Municipal Alliance Committee. They reached out to us. We host a leadership mentorship series, or they host it. We take part in it. It's always a really nice series for our students to take part in. Historically, it takes place in February. They usually reach out to us mid-January, end of January, but historically it does take place in February. 25 female and 25 male students participate. The other grade level that they're mentoring with is our 11th grade students that are going into 12th grade. They each participate in 2 different sessions. The 2 different sessions are, the first one is all the females, the second one is all the males, and then the last session, they're all together. They're going to focus on making connections with the upperclassmen, build leadership skills, and just have opportunities to have mentors as they enter high school. We all know how important mentors are, so that's a really nice segue for the 8th graders as they're moving up. And then they dive into deeper conversations and education on vaping, marijuana, underage drinking, and it's just for them to have somebody as they move up. Peer tutoring, it's beginning this month. It actually began yesterday. Our 8th grade peer tutoring sessions take place on Wednesdays during our lunch A, which is our 8th grade lunch. The program is basically designed just to support our students in their content areas and to provide new perspective on skills being taught in the classroom other than just their teachers. They have a peer that they meet with that helps support them. And as we know, having peer support can enhance student learning and comprehension, as well as having positive benefits for both the tutor and the tutee. So we're off to day one, we're off and running, but so far it's, the kids have enjoyed it and it's been successful. Thank you so much. Next up is Mr. Feltry.
Thank you, Ms. Latore. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Feltry. I'm the assistant principal for the 8th grade. I just want to say thank you to Ms. Latore. As we get older in life, myself, I don't like change that much. With Ms. Marsh going out on maternity leave, had a little anxiety of it this year, but I got to say, Nicole, you've been amazing for the 8th grade. I want to say thank you for everything you've done. There's been no disruption, and you're offering a lot of wonderful ideas, so I want to say thank you for that. So I really appreciate everything you've done so far. Obviously, some of the 8th grades, the activities we do, we have a lot of fun activities. We have our field semi-formal during the year, which obviously Mr. Feliz attested to. Definitely takes a little while, but then, the kids definitely start to mingle a little bit, so it's a very fun day, fun night. We have the field day at the end of the year. Obviously, we have the Eagle Landing Fields trip, which is right down the road here on Davidson Mill. That's a wonderful event. Hopefully it doesn't rain this year. We've been very successful the last couple of years. And then we have the class night, June 20th. So a lot of wonderful events coming up. And one of the many things, one of the things I do support here at the school is the athletics. And as we know, there's a huge correlation between academic success and the positive involvement in a different aspect of the school. So we have 15 teams here. We have the football, we have the soccer and the soccer, we have the cross country and the cheerleading in the fall, and then we have the new sport we opened up 2 years ago was the girls volleyballs in the fall, correct. And then we have the wrestling, boys basketball, girls basketball, and cheerleading in the winter. And then in the spring, we have the baseball, the softball, both lacrosses, and the boys volleyball. So as you can see, our numbers have increased mightily. So the amount of students that are involved in sports is fantastic here. And some of the highlights we've had this year, our boys soccer team was fantastic there. So 11-1 in one season, I believe, yep. And the girls volleyball, first year, listen, baby steps. But the amount of students that are involved in the volleyball, and the volleyball is one of the sports that doesn't have a huge feeder program in many districts. So I don't want to be like baseball, I'm very involved in. Like a lot of kids, if you don't do baseball younger, it's tough to acclimate yourself and be successful later in life. But the nice thing about the volleyball is that most of the students can come out and be very successful on that. So it's as this age, it's very nice to have something you can have an outlet. You can be all positive at school. So we have a lot of kids performing in the volleyball, so that's fantastic. And then our cross-country team, we had Drisha Pradeep Kumar, who finished second out of 77 students this year in the GMC, so fantastic. So a lot of wonderful thing about the North Brunswick Township Middle School athletic program. Hopefully it follows suit to the high school. And here's some of our teams. Obviously, we have our soccer team, our girls volleyball team, and that's Drisha, who is our cross-country runner. So fantastic job to all of them. Ms. Silver, Title I.
All right, we're going to bring this baby in for a landing. As you know, we receive a fair amount of Title I funding, okay? A lot of that is not really visible to the naked eye during the day, but these things are, okay? Our parent academies that we do during the course of the year to bring parents in and talk about relevant topics today, okay? Attendance is always an issue. It's very tough post-pandemic, it's just tough to get people out. We've offered things over Zoom and gotten nobody. And I'm like, man, come on, you could be on your couch. But we keep trying. We keep trying. That's the important part. Social emotional learning groups, again, so important to develop those skills and that resiliency in students today, all right? And we do that, and of course, our success tutoring program, right? On the horizon, as you know, tomorrow night is our spelling bee, right? And I tell you what, man, those late rounds of that thing, they're vicious, all right? I'm not kidding. But it's impressive. It really is. The discipline that the students have. Career day, as we talked about. Grade level tune-ups, which are basically assemblies where, well, for the 8th grade, we kind of have to ward them off of the middle school version of senioritis and remind them it's not June yet. You know, we have a ways to go. But we give them some gentle reminders in case we're starting to slack a little bit. PBIS, Honor Society inductions, which will be March, Mr. Fano? Honor Society? In March, okay? One of my favorite nights. I mean, one of my favorite nights when we honor our highest functioning students, rightfully so. It's a great night, it's a great ceremony. Our spring concerts, our musical production is called Once on an Island, okay? It is a take on The Little Mermaid, okay? Or it might have been the precursor to The Little Mermaid. But anyway, our drama group has just grown and grown and grown over the years. We're expecting a great show this year. That's March 28th, that I do know. Science fair, annual art show, athletics and athletic award that we offer at the end of every season. And of course, our 7th and 8th grade events, as you just heard about. You are all more than welcome to attend any and all of these things, and even some things that aren't even listed here. We're very proud of what we offer. We'd love to have you, honestly, okay? I think that's our story, and we're sticking to it, okay? Once again, thank you for everything. Thank you for coming out. Happy to have you, all right?
As we're getting the screen up, we just really want to thank all of you, Mr. Salover and your team, for doing such a great presentation, for filling us in and updating us on all the new initiatives that have come up to date since we saw you last 2 years ago, for also digging into your test scores and showing us how you're working to improve that through the different subject areas, and then also showing us the social emotional side and the support side that middle school is a tough time, and I do not look back fondly on my middle school years, personally. I don't know if anybody here actually does or if that's even a thing, but I would imagine here there probably are a lot of kids who really find this to be the right place for them to grow and learn. So thank you.
On behalf of the board, I also just want to say thank you. I, think back to my middle school years, and some of your faces come to my mind. So to see, you all these years later, it's very special. And I think, like Mrs. Chiroka said, sometimes, digging into and speaking about the testing and some of the test scores and the improvements, it's tough. And we recognize that. But one of our goals and one of our district goals is our academic achievement, of course. That's something that, is very important to the 9 of us up here, important to Mrs. Chiroka's cabinet and to all of you. So anything that we can do to support you all in order to improve on that goal, we're here for you, and we appreciate everything that, you do every day to keep this building running. And we look forward to attending some of those events as well. So thank you. Definitely. Thank you. We're fortunate for you all too.
Can I say something?
Absolutely, Mr. Wen.
Sure. I just want to just kind of follow up and just say thank you for just a really a wonderful group of students that you have. As you know, I run Buddy Ball, and nearly half of my volunteers each year come from the middle school, 7th and 8th grade, and they are some phenomenal kids. And last year, I guess we missed that we weren't here. What I really forgot to let you know that at that time, 8th grade, Avani Gupta, she had volunteered enough that she qualified and won the Presidential Volunteer Service Award, bronze level last year. So, yeah, you guys have some great students. So.
Anyone else? Thanks, Mr. Wen. Appreciate that. At this time, we have a short agenda here, but we'll move to item number 6. It's an open session. Is there any old business or new business
There is not.
this evening? Okay. We'll just flip to page 2. At this time, we will review our agenda. As per our regular meetings that we have at the end of each month, we receive these agendas well in advance, and we have the time to review them as we have for this specific conference meeting agenda. So at this time, we will look to page 2 and page 3, and then wrapping up on page 4 this evening. So at this time, we'll have a public session on agenda items only. If anyone from the public would like to come up and speak, we ask that you just state your name. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak on agenda items only. Seeing none, can I please have a motion to close the public portion of the meeting?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? This session is closed.
Thank you. Mr. Liguori, would you please take item number 10, please, consent agenda?
Madam President, I'll move to approve the following consent agenda items pertaining to curriculum as listed.
Second.
I will take roll call. Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Ms. Keefe?
Yes.
Mr. Liguori?
Yes.
Dr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Singh?
Yes.
Ms. Toth?
Yes.
And Mr. Wen?
Yes.
All the motions are approved.
Thank you. At this time, we'll flip to page 3, and we will have a public session on any matter. At this time, if anyone from the public would like to come up and speak, we will give you 3 minutes. We just ask you to state your name, and you'll be given time to speak on any matter. Seeing none, can I please have a motion to close this portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? This session is closed.
Thank you. And at this time, we will move to go into closed session. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presented exist, now therefore be it resolved by the North Brunswick Township Board of Education that the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as followed: personnel matters. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Can I please have a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We can go into closed session.
Thank you.
8:22.
At this time, we will return to open session. Can we please have a motion?
So moved.
I'm sorry, who was the first? Mr. Wen, thank you so much, Mr. Ali. We are back in session. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, we are in session.
Thank you. And at this time, we will adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, it's Mr. Carter, correct?
Yep.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.